Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman, live, direct, it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
Good morning, Cayman. How's everybody doing this beautiful Wednesday morning? We are just getting things sorted here in the studio, and then we are going to get started in earnest. Need a little minute to do something here, so we're going to put on just a slight music break, if you will, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Infrastructure is more than roads and buildings. It's our lifeline.
From pioneers who paved the first paths to today's crews and engineers who keep us going.
They power hospitals, connect families, and help us after natural disasters.
Let's honor the people behind Cayman's progress.
Nominate someone who built or maintained our Cayman Islands
at gov.ky/YSCH. Click Nominate today.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage is pleased to announce that the nominations for the 2026 National Recognition Awards are now open. Nominate individuals and groups who played a key role in developing the Cayman Islands' physical infrastructure. The categories include landmark leaders, infrastructure innovators, and the builders of Cayman. Visit gov.ky/YSCH. Click on the Nominate button to make a nomination. Here is a step-by-step guide to fill out the form. Before starting, please read the instructions, the award categories, and the eligibility criteria. Step 1. Enter your personal information and select the award category for the person or group you are nominating. Click Yes to confirm that your nominee meets the criteria. Step 2. Enter the nominee's full name, date of birth, and district. Indicate their current status, whether living or deceased, and ensure you have the current contact information for your nominee and their next of kin. Fill out the submission detail and provide any supporting documents and a reference to support your nomination. Step 3. Review your submission and make any changes by clicking the previous button. When you are ready, confirm and agree to the terms and click Submit Form to make your nomination. A thank you notice will confirm that the nomination was received, and a copy of the application will be sent to your email. Your nomination will be reviewed and considered by the National Recognition Awards Committee, and only successful nominees will be contacted and recognized at next year's National Heroes Day ceremony. Remember, You can submit multiple nominations or browse our frequently asked questions by visiting the National Recognition Awards tab at gov.ky/YSCH. We look forward to receiving your nomination.
All right, good morning. How is everyone doing? Happy Hump Day Wednesday. Wow, we are here and trying to get some of the latest details on what is going on with Hurricane Melissa, who has now passed Jamaica as of last night and moved on to Cuba. Oh, yo. Poor people in Cuba can't handle it either, but I did hear that they were doing massive evacuations from the side that she was coming in. So I guess that's good. Yeah. Wow. All right. We'll get some details here in just a bit. We've got one of our, regional reporters joining us from Jamaica. Of course, you guys will know that we have, contacts all over the region. And as really the only Cayman news agency that always focuses on the region, we give you updates on what's happening all the time in terms of in the regional context, just on a daily. And so we have those connections already established. So during times like this, it is much easier for us to tap into those connections and to speak with them about what is happening there on the ground. So we do have someone who's going to be joining us momentarily. And so we're going to check in with her and see how things are coming along. I suspect today the government will start to get, and so by extension, we will start to get some real insight into exactly how bad things are. One area, as is usual, where the storm comes in is going to take the brunt of the devastation. But I suspect what they're dealing with is very similar to what we had after Hurricane Ivan, where 90-something% of our building structures had some form of damage. So those of us who were around during Ivan, we know, and we can certainly sympathize today with a true degree of understanding what the people of Jamaica are actually going through. So what they say, who knows it, who feels it, knows it. And we felt it. We have definitely been there. And, I'm just reflecting, going back in those days, about what it felt like the moment I'll remember I stayed with my friend. Big shout out to Al this morning. I stayed with his family during Ivan. And I had two dogs, Oscar and Rupert, and I left them at home thinking that they would be safe. And, they were somewhat safe, except because they had upstairs. So I left them the run of the place in case they needed it, and left out a little bit of supplies for them. They were sheltered inside, but when I got back, we had partial loss of a roof in the apartment complex that we stayed in, like over a closet. And I tell you what, those poor dogs were never the same after that storm. I reminisce with a degree of sadness. I think their lives were actually shortened because of the stress of that storm. I remember Oscar in particular, who was always tethered on being a stressful dog. Like from the day he was a puppy, he was a little bit different, honey chill. He was passive aggressive, and he, as they say, that was a dog that only a mother could love. Yeah, he was kind of special, but I loved him to pieces. He was my first dog that I had as an adult. I chose him out of the litter of the person who had the litter, and I guess in many ways he was He was a rescue, but I had him from day one. And you just had to know his temperament. His temperament was a little bit different, passive aggressive. Sweetest, could be the sweetest dog, but also a little bit passive aggressive. And I know that after Ivan, he was never the same. Like after we would have a heavy rain after that, if the windows shook a little bit, he was just very, very nervous. I mean, he was nervous before Ivan. Let me be clear. He's one of those dogs who was petrified of fireworks. And so, you know, Ivan really did a number on him. And he would then escape. Every time I remember Mr. Scott from across the street would call me, Sandy, this dog out again. So Oscar figured out when he was nervous because the windows were shaking, he figured out that he could, we didn't lock our windows back in those days in Cuba. I'm making it sound like that was so long ago. He would push the windows up, the front window, push out the screen and go outside. And he'd walk the neighborhood, do whatever he wanted, come back and jump back through the window. So when I came home, I would see the window pushed open. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So the other dog, Rupert, would just sit there and wait for him. He was such a good dog. He was so well behaved. He's like, I am not going anywhere. I will wait here for you to get in trouble. So yeah, so you know, even our animals respond to stress, and you know, quite unfortunately, I think that these are going to be a trying number of years for Jamaica. So there is no quick fix. Things are going to be challenging for quite some time. And we know that. I mean, we can still walk around certain parts of Cayman today and still see the marks that Ivan left behind. There's still derelict houses that have never fully recovered from Hurricane Ivan. Some people have just not been able to get their lives back on track. So that we know. So definitely praying for the people of Jamaica. Some of you were checking in with me yesterday. Thank you so much to see, you know, how our family is doing. We've been in contact with most people. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law, we haven't been able to reach her, but that's not entirely unusual because where she is in the country, in St. Mary, their connection is a little bit temperamental at times. So there are times when we are simply not able to get her, normally because she's so busy, but also because the connection is not always the best exactly where she's at. So we think the power's out in that area because we have also reached out to neighbors and, you know, can't get anybody. So it's something that's impacting everyone in that area. So hopefully, we don't know how long that situation will persist. And of course, a lot of the country is inaccessible. So I don't know how easy it is for her sons to go and check on her. One is in Kingston. The other one, I think, is a little bit closer, but he is part of emergency services because he's like public works and stuff like that. And he's head of some division, I think in St. Catherine. I don't even know, but somewhere out there. So yeah. So we're gonna have a look. There's a couple stories up now about the position after the storm. So I know a lot of people are curious to see what we can. So of course here on CMR, we're going to bring you what we can. We have some footage now of Montego Bay. So let's go ahead and bring that up on screen. We do have some guests who are going to be joining us, like I said, and when they pop in, we will acquiesce to them. But in the meantime, let us have a look at what's happening basically all over. So this is shot I'm going to show you is of, this is Montego Bay, Jamaica. And very close to the water because you can see the water there in the background. And we have, my apologies, we have a lot of footage of, you know, lots of just pictures and videos and, you know, so it's not good. It doesn't look good at all. Yeah. So I'm just trying to see who is live. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up some local news out of Jamaica, and then we can kind of check in with them on the live stream to see what's going on. But yeah, it's going to be a challenging time ahead. That much we can be certain of. No two ways about that. And so the recovery effort begins in earnest basically immediately. And we will be having the Red Cross and some government officials on this morning talking about what they're organizing. And there's a number of NPOs who are organizing something. I cautioned you all yesterday to please be careful of who you support in their efforts to assist. And I don't want to, let me put it this way. There have been examples, without a doubt, of people who abuse it, right? So they collect donations. The donations don't always end up where they're supposed to be. And I mean, that's not good, right? That's dishonesty. But I'm not even talking about just those people. There are some people who are they mean well, and they think that they're helping, but they actually are not, because they don't understand the logistics involved in, doing or organizing such an effort. So they actually may end up, as it turns out, causing more harm than good, because they get in the way of the properly organized rescue efforts and the properly organized disaster relief efforts. So we don't want that, right? We don't want any of that to happen. So let us just be cautious of these individuals who want to, wanting to help is one thing, but in reality, you may actually not be helping very much at all. All right. So there we have it. Okay. So we, somebody just sent me a link. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to download this and see if we can have a look at this. I think this is an interview with the Prime Minister and some comments that he has made to international media. Big shout out to Miami Herald, one of our media partners. We do have regular contact with Miss Jacqueline Charles, and she covers the English-speaking Caribbean. Focused quite a bit on Haiti, because she's got Haitian connections, but she does other major news. So she's done a couple news stories surrounding the storm yesterday for Miami Herald. One entitled Hurricane Melissa Slams Jamaica. It's tied as strongest landfalling Atlantic storm. And then she's done another one since then, as Caribbean dreads Hurricane Melissa's destruction, it can no longer count on U.S. aid. So she is amazing. She is excellent, actually. Her writing skills are very, very good. Her research skills are good. I've had the opportunity to, see her work and, even speak with her. You guys might remember we've done a couple interviews with her regarding Haiti. And so the story that she did, I found to be quite interesting, because she was talking about, comparatively speaking, how even 6 years ago, when Hurricane Dorian became the strongest storm ever to hit the Bahamas, submerging a number of the islands. The U.S. government was among the most generous responders, some $33 million, including seaplanes, and the humanitarian agency chartered ferry responders and visiting lawmakers during the destruction. However, now she says that unfortunately, with Trump being in charge and as temperamental as he is, the region can't expect any real comfort from the U.S., unfortunately. He is just incredibly unreliable at best. And at the moment, he's too busy building a ballroom. I guess he's planning on doing a lot of dancing at 80. So, you know, it's a very, very interesting article. Cuba's going to be impacted, Southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. Jamaica obviously just battered, 185 miles per hour sustained winds, torrential rain, and people bracing for the storm's aftermath. But they also are bracing for the stark reality of recovering without the safety net that the U.S. aid once provided. So this is a very, there's a mosquito in here again. What is up with these? Oh, got him. What is up with these mosquitoes? Oh my God. The rain doesn't help. I actually killed 2 in the shower this morning. Jeez, some peace. Sorry. So yeah, she's done a very, very thorough story on this. And, you know, I'll share the link here so that you guys can go and read this. But basically the gist of it is right now, you can't count on the State Department helping the region or doing much of anything because the directions that they get, you know, are what they are. So have a read of Miss Jacqueline Charles's article. It is, I think, worth a good read. All right, so I'm just putting it here in the link for you guys. All right, we've got Miss Zara. Are you ready, honey? We're gonna go ahead and pull you in. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody from Kingston, Jamaica.
Good morning. How are things?
Well, a lot sunnier. I mean, it's not sunny, but I don't know if you can see that I'm outside and I'm not wet. So that's improvement.
Yes, that's good. That is definitely good.
Yes, the sun will shine again. But I have to say, boy, I'm really not smiling when it comes to, you know, people that I have out west. I mean, I'm very concerned about what happened in St. Elizabeth, in, you know, Montego Bay, St. James area, Westmoreland, Black River in St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, lots of places not doing so well.
How bad is it? I mean, what are you hearing? Loss of life. Are you hearing much in the way of loss of life?
I asked about that yesterday and I was told it's too quick to talk about that. But I did read an Al Jazeera article this morning where the Prime Minister did say that based on what happened, he is expecting to see some loss of life.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't have figures.
Yeah. And I watched a little bit of the press briefing, and I think one of your ministers was saying there was something that he wanted to talk about, but he didn't want to talk about. It was so bad or something. But I don't know if that was related to loss of life or exactly what he was getting at. I was a little bit lost with that comment. Something that he wanted to confirm, I think, about a family. He was saying that there was several families that needed to be rescued. So I'm not sure if one of those, you know, didn't get rescued.
You know,
sure.
I asked a question after that because I was particularly perturbed by a particular ex-post where a family of 10 or people, they said a group of 10, 4 babies were included in that group, were stranded in mountainside in St. Elizabeth and needed assistance ASAP. And I remember I was here at the Office of Disaster Emergency Preparedness, and they were signaling that they needed help from ODPEM, which is where I was. So I went to the area and I said, you know, you guys, can you help this family? They need some assistance, you know, because they said they couldn't get through to people on the lines and so on, which is understandable because a lot of people can't get through on the lines right now, Yeah.
Mhm.
So the point is that I heard from the same person that put it out on Twitter. I said, I've given your information to ODPEM, they've logged it. And then I heard back to say they're getting help, so I was very relieved about that. But then when the minister made that comment, which seemed ambiguous, I was like, okay, did they not get help? Because the comment he made was just like what you said. It's like he doesn't even want to go down that way. But he also said that there were some families that were marooned, and he made the point that we just weren't able to help them. So I was particularly thinking about that family that I had seen a little bit earlier in the day. And so I got up and asked the question at the press conference, Minister, which family specifically are you talking about? Because there was this particular family and I was told that they were getting help. Were you able to help that family or that group of persons, I should say, in Mountainside? And he said that group indeed was helped. So at least I was grateful for that group, but saddened for the other groups because he did say they weren't able to assist. Now, of course, that was yesterday. Today might actually be able to facilitate that kind of help that they need. And we hope, God, that they get through on time. At this point, we're just hoping and praying that they got some help. But I think where he was going is that we don't know what happened to those individuals.
Wow. And of course, this is why they were saying to people, evacuate, because ultimately you can't expect first responders to sacrifice their lives for people in the middle of a storm when it's not safe to do so, and who sometimes refuse to evacuate.
Yeah, but apparently there were some people that, okay, so for instance, I'll just give you an idea of what I'm talking about. There was a particular thing that I heard about where a group of persons were in a location. And you remember the advice was go to the strongest shelter, that kind of thing. And so they apparently went to some, and sorry, I'm not fully remembering everything, but this is how it came to me, right? That they went somewhere and they were in an area that they weren't that familiar with, and then the roof went. And so, maybe some people did evacuate. So for instance, a while ago, just giving you an example, I was talking to a tourist in Montego Bay, and in the process of speaking to this tourist, she was from the UK. She was in Ucherius with a set of family members. Set of friends. And Ucherius is in the north of the island, a tourist town, whatever the case is. Okay. And then her family back in the UK advised her to leave Ucherius. So she goes to Montego Bay, right? Thinking that would be a safer place. And she said, worst decision ever. That's what she said. She said, worst decision ever. And she was alone at this point. So she had left the company of her friends. And so she was alone at this point. And so, she said, it was, she said the staff were amazing, but going through it alone was extremely scary for her, And so she's in a hotel. She seems okay, but you can tell she's like, really just stunned about what happened. She said it was really scary for her, So I think people are trying to make some decisions to move to places that they think are safer, but then they still get caught up, So when you talk about evacuations, yes, there's that set. Let's get real. There is that set. But in terms of some people, I guess, interpreting the advice to leave where they are, and then they make a decision that didn't work out. I think some of that went on too, maybe to a lesser extent, but I think some of that may have gone on as well.
Wow. Pretty wild. Yeah. And I guess people forget too that Jamaica is not, like, Cayman is relatively small, right? So even if you go, like, if I live in Georgetown, I go to West Bay, it's not that big of a jump. Like, I'm going to know people at the shelter. I'm going to, whereas with Jamaica, you could literally go from one parish to another and not know anybody at all. That's not your community. So, it's a very different kind of feeling as well. To be in among strangers, if you will. that you have to trust to then ride out a storm with. And then
Exactly.
it was only half of the shelters that were open. Not even all the shelters were open.
No, I never heard any report. Only half of the shelters were open. I had heard
Your audio is
that was the
kind of
official.
dropping out. There we go. Okay, you're back now.
Okay, you're hearing me okay?
Yes.
Okay. My mom's calling me on the other line. That's why.
Oh, okay. Mommy checking in.
I don't know if you know this about some moms, but they keep calling until you answer the phone.
Oh, yes, yes. Is your mom in Jamaica as well, Zara?
No, she is in Florida at this time.
She's
She
in
normally
Florida.
lives in Jamaica, but she happens to be in Florida with my sisters. So, the call is going to keep coming.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what I was going to say to you on a more serious note is that you asked the question about the shelters, and this is really important for us to talk about because the shelters were all activated according to government officials, okay, in the official press conferences. That being said, they were saying that one, a lot of people didn't want to evacuate, right, at first. And then the ones that did evacuate eventually, right, they waited a lot of them until the last minute. So for instance, yesterday, and I'm talking about yesterday ahead of the storm hitting, making landfall here in Jamaica, there were people calling from St. Elizabeth at that point saying, can you get us out? Can you get us out? And the government said they did accommodate some of those requests. So I would say to you that they did try to get some of those down to the very last minute as much as they could. You know what I mean? But there was a report in the afternoon now where there was a Clarendon school principal. The way it was set up first was school principals, as if it was almost plural. But anyway, this morning I was watching the report on Nationwide News and it was singular, right? But it was a shelter. And this particular school principal was not allowing certain amount of access to the facility. And that, of course, upset some people who were seeking shelter. And so the government came out and said, I condemn it. This was Mackenzie. He condemns it, right? Because what is this school principal thinking? Everybody's up in arms about what was this school principal thinking. And so there was that incident, because what the mandate or the order, the legislation allows for is once you're designated a shelter and once it becomes a shelter, it becomes the jurisdiction of the disaster people, and you are supposed to allow that access. So there was that one incident. I can tell you that there were some other complaints, and I'm not going to, act as if it didn't happen. There were some other complaints about access to shelters. And it's almost like the information given, let us say about one shelter, you got the sense from the government that they had moved the shelter to another place. So I think there was some confusion regarding the shelters too, to be frank with you, right? But they better get it sorted out because a lot of people right now are without roofs, without proper shelter. And so they're going to need to probably get into a shelter.
Right. Wow. And are the shelters necessarily any better of an option? I mean, I'm sure some of them sustained significant damage. We saw one of the shelter wardens yesterday had a stroke from probably the stress of this whole storm. I mean, I don't know if the shelters are, are they this poor lady here? I'm sure you saw this news about her. This was so sad to hear this. But are the shelters much better off than people's homes?
I don't know that she was a shelter warden. I mean, I thought I got information.
Hold on, let me get
No,
the
she was a
official.
part of the disaster.
Let me just. I think she was at a shelter though when it happened, but let me just confirm. So, Westmoreland Parish Disaster Coordinator. My apologies.
Right, but I don't
she's
know.
A disaster coordinator.
Right, I don't think she was a shelter warden. I never got that sense. So.
Okay.
I think she was a coordinator for a parish, and it was very unfortunate that she had a stroke and she was being treated at hospitals. So can you imagine the hospital is already stressed dealing with all this stuff. They already, especially in Savlamar Hospital. I don't know, there was a section of the hospital where you actually saw a zinc roof being flown off. That was a video that was featured by the Jamaica Glino. So I would say to you that, it's hard. You know, it's hard. I don't know anything about the shelters. What I do know is that I suppose I was in a bit of a shelter because I was at ODPEM, which is the Emergency Command Center. I was hunkered down with not just officials here, but a few local journalists as well were here overnight. So was I on a cot, you know, like we were in the military. Humble accommodation, but necessary. And I was very, very grateful. So I'm never going to complain about that. They fed us here as well. And I felt like I was in a bit of a fortress. I felt like I was very grateful to be feeling anyway that I was more protected than maybe some others felt in their accommodation, you know? But it's not lost on me. I have family members down in St. Elizabeth. I know that in the accommodation in our media group, there were persons with family members down in Manchester, family members down in Westmoreland, can't reach the family members, whether it's because of power outage or telecom outage. And it's terrible to think that you don't know if your family member is okay. So we're going through it, even though we feel like we're in a fortress, you know? Some of us do have, as I said, I have a few family members there still left in St. Elizabeth, you know. I haven't called them yet because I just assume that because of all the reporting I've been doing and I, you know, haven't been able to get in touch with anybody that side. But you have your friends down there too, you know, people that you talk to. Because my father is from down that side. So you have a little bit of a, you know, a connection community and you can't make contact with them, but to see how they do it, you know? Kind of tough.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So it's a long road to recovery. We saw video footage yesterday of the airport there in Sangster International. That's the international airport, right? That's the one in Montego Bay.
That's correct.
That looks like that's going to be out of commission for quite some time, based on the footage that that we have seen.
I would say so too. I think so too. I mean, Norman Mann International Airport, I haven't seen much about that. I haven't seen anything, in fact.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So that might actually be one of the routes that people or the ways that people can get out. So maybe they will have to bus people. But there's also a small international airport that they opened up in recent years in Ocho Rios, Ian Fleming. It only takes a certain, I mean, it has international aircraft, like, you know, from American Airlines, but not those big jets, you know, that usually go to Europe. So, I mean, they can accommodate some smaller aircraft. So maybe, you know, for the people that have to get out of Jamaica who are tourists and so on, if Montego Bay is out of commission, because that's where a lot of our tourists come through, is Montego Bay. So if that's out, then they may have to start busing, and the planes can't land at Ian Fleming. They may have to start busing people into Kingston to get out. I don't know.
Wow.
But they did say, incidentally, that the relief flights likely will come in. The relief flights will likely come in. I think they were thinking tomorrow, Thursday. And they were saying that I think they'll make a firm decision after doing an assessment of the airports, because one of the media personnel here was telling me he's going on a tour maybe with Daryl Vaz to look at some of the airports. So maybe they make a decision definitively about the airports today, about what stays open, what is what is, you know, what stays closed and what will open.
All right. Well, you know, we appreciate you so much bringing us up to date on some of what's happening. We saw any word on the American tourists. Of course, they were all over their own media complaining. I think there's 40 or 20,000 of them, I think, that got stranded there. Yeah, they got stranded in Jamaica. And of course, a lot of them would probably have been in the Montego Bay area, enjoying, you know, the sunshine before the storm. And so some said that they were planning on getting out that day, and then the airport closed, or flights were canceled, and they were not able to get out. So any idea on how the hotels did on that side? Everybody is okay?
Well, I can't really give you a sense of how the hotels did in terms of their infrastructure in mass. What I do know is that the hotel that my colleague is staying at, she's being, you know, she being a videographer, she was able, as I said, to help me to get to interview some of the tourists who were staying there today. And that tourist as well also took some pictures. So that hotel was in fact damaged, but it wasn't damaged to the point where it was, oh my God, you know, but it was damaged. You saw where the, you know, I think one person told me that the ACs were falling down, the gazebo was shaking. Another person, as I said, she snapped some pictures of some just heavy wind over in the hotel area. And I think even one vehicle that was parked outside had like when somebody is trying to break into your car and it breaks the side mirror or something, the side at the back side mirror. And so that was broken, but not flooded, not flooded. And so that was one hotel in Montego Bay. It's a boutique hotel. It's not one of the big all-inclusives. It was a boutique hotel up in the hills, Grandview. And I would also say to you that, the Rio, I had seen something where during the hurricane, they were giving instructions to the persons of, meals will come to you, so they were really trying to keep people, it seems, indoors, so throughout the storm. So I would say to you that the people I did speak to from Grandview, the hotel guests, they were very happy with the Grandview hotel staff. They said the staff treated them so well. It was just like another normal day for the staff, and they were really supportive of them, so we don't have any complaints where that part of it is concerned, at least not so far, but of course, every hotel is different. That's one hotel in the bunch.
Wow. All right. Well, Zara, Burton, tell us a little bit so people can, do a like or follow on your channels, your media house that you're with. Zara is, like myself, a female entrepreneur in a very competitive space of media. So, we've been supporting each other probably very silently for many years now, girl. And so, yes, it's times like this that we appreciate the collaboration that we have within the region. So tell us the name of your media house and how people, I know you do more investigative reporting pieces, but, I'm sure you'll be getting lots of material out of this storm. So tell us a little bit about how people can find you. Uh-oh. Oh, did the connection get stuck? Oh. All right, give it a second. As you can imagine, the connection is a little bit spotty. Oh, she might have to reconnect. So we'll give her a few minutes. She may have to reconnect that connection, honey. Chill. Are you there, Mamacita? All right, let's give her a few. Get some footage in the background that we are playing of different videos that we've received. Now, some people are sending on videos that are not even from this storm and pictures and stuff like that. I said to someone this morning, I'm not even sure what the point of that is. To me, that's ridiculous, because it's not like you don't have sufficient, photos of what actually took place. I mean, there's lots of, devastation. So I don't know why people are creating pictures and claiming. There's one that everybody's like, no, that's AI generated. I'm not so sure it's AI generated. I think what it is maybe it's not the area that people said that it was, but because why would you even bother to, why would you even bother to create something? I mean, there's way more footage there. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit disheartening to hear that that's even happening. Don't send around footage or makeup footage, because then we don't know. I mean, honestly, when we get it, we're not going to know, all the details of it. And so sometimes we might inadvertently share something. Oh, Miss Zara, you're back. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull you back in. There you go. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to remove the other one. Yep. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I think your connection is a little bit spotty. I'm trying to.
Hello? I'm hearing
yes,
you.
There we go. Yeah. For some reason, I'm not seeing you.
But you're hearing?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, can we just do it this way then real fast?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I hope I'm coming back in. I don't know. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, hold on. You have another one that came back. So hold on. You're coming in multiple times. There we go.
Good to go.
Yes.
All right. So I would say to you that I am at www.18degreesnorth.tv. That's my Substack newsletter, and you can see my investigations, which tend to deal with accountability in government spending and accountability in terms of our prime minister and our opposition leader and their finances, their personal financial setups. And, I look at procurement, a lot of public procurement issues, conflict of interest issues, that kind of thing. So, if you're interested in, usually I have a take on, different things that go on in Jamaica. So thank you for the opportunity. So you can always subscribe to my newsletter. At that link, www.18degreesnorth.tv. But right now, if I could say something in addition to that, is that I really want you guys, if you don't mind, to start looking at the Jamaican link that was sent out for donations to Jamaica. And to me, as I said, it's kind of weird promoting something and then obviously down the road, you're going to be the first in line to find out how the money was spent and to criticize and to hold to account and that kind of thing. But I would say to you that we kind of do need the help. So if people can look at that link in a positive way, right? I mean, we'll have to see how they deal with the spending and the accountability, I suppose, after the fact, because that is a big part of the story, as you well know, right? And I have not been happy in the past, some of the times, I'm not going to lie, with some of the accountability when it comes to spending. So anyway,
but with them knowing that there are individuals like yourself obviously paying attention to things like how they're going to spend their relief money, maybe they'll be motivated. I don't know. Maybe they will be motivated to do the right thing because eyes are always on them. The same thing happens here, Zara. So many people are like, oh, don't tell CMR this. We don't want CMR to know and blah, blah, blah. So I think in the back of people's minds, maybe that leads to a little bit greater accountability. Some people still don't care. They just do whatever. And then when we find out, they try to make an excuse for bad behavior. But yeah, we will, I know, we will definitely follow your channel. And obviously everybody wants to help the Jamaican people where we can. So thank you so much, my dear. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you for your coverage, Sandra. You've always been such a supporter, and I know you're very steeped in what goes on in this country. I think it's because your audience is so, populated, or a Jamaican audience is definitely there in Cayman. So they're interested. So obviously you too are interested. So thank you for that.
Yes, no, absolutely.
All right.
We have such strong connections, but thank you again, Zara. Really appreciate it.
You take care. Bye.
All right, my darling. Bye-bye. All right. So we are going to check in with a few more people out of Jamaica this morning. Thank you so much again to Zara for joining us. I'm just trying to confirm what time our guests are coming. Isn't it today? Just 1 second. It's supposed to be 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Yes. Okay. So we got time, honey child. I was thinking to myself, when did so many emails some days. Buenos dias, Miss Alba. AJ says there are folks sharing AI images of sharks in flooded parking lots and hotel pools. Well, I mean, those are obvious, right? But there's another one that's circulating around that people are saying is AI generated. I don't think it's AI generated. I think it's just not where people said that it was, which is a very different situation. So this does not look AI generated to me, but maybe it isn't the part of Jamaica that people are saying, or maybe it isn't even Jamaica at all. I mean, I don't really know. So, please don't do that, because I can assure you there's more than enough legitimate photos out there that you could be utilizing. So don't share those. Now, here is one of the Savlamar hospital. As we can see, they had quite a bit of flooding. I hope that poor lady in the background isn't a patient. My Lord, she's wading through ankle deep water, a little bit above the ankles. So they had running water, all of the wheelchairs and stuff we see in the hallway. Now, of course, they're going to get rusted out, and this water will no doubt impact their life, the life of the facility. Water can be very damaging, in case you didn't know that. So here's some nurses standing up on the steps up to the second floor, because it looks pretty much like that first floor is pretty well flooded, kind of like a little miniature river running through there. And that poor lady, she's holding onto the wall right there. She's walking through it. My goodness. What a mess. Morning, Miss Daisy. Morning to all of you. We have about 450 plus people watching in the live stream. And of course, big shout out to our Bobo audience. Somebody remind me in 5 minutes, we're going to do our squats. I'm not forgetting. It's important that we keep up, our strength and mobility. This one is one of the hotels. I think there was an incident there where people, tempers were flaring and all kind of stuff. So there are people getting in some kind of fight or some foolishness. I don't even know. Y'all need to relax. This is not the time for that. We also have, I think this is Westmoreland. Somebody sent some footage of that. We do have, yeah. So this is Westmoreland showing some of the devastation there. Wow.
BK mash up.
Yeah.
Yo, how many bucks that I got there?
Yeah. So, yeah.
They will not get back in country now. No.
Yeah. So quite a bit of, zinc roofs on the ground, fragments of, look, that's a light pole. I'm surprised these guys are driving out in this already. Like, hello. So, power, I see the poles snapped. We know that all too well. One of my most vivid images of Ivan in my brain is when I was able to go down West Bay Road. Now, remember, Ivan hit way before CMR existed. So I was just out there being nosy like other people. But I did have a business in West Bay at the time, and I was trying to get to that to see how that had done, if we had any significant damage. And thankfully, we literally had one ceiling tile that came down because, West Bay didn't really get the brunt of it. The way that the storm came in, West Bay was largely, spared. But on my way to West Bay, I'll never forget seeing, first of all, the beach in the road was a sight to behold, all that sand. And the light poles were like a domino effect. They were like all the way down. I was like, OMG. Yeah, that was a very interesting sight for sure. We've got the Black River Police Station. I'm going to show you guys here in just a second as well. But yeah, that was unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, big shout out to CUC because they have posted, let me just see if I can get this for you guys. They have posted that they obviously stand ready to assist, and they are going to deploy teams. So let me just go to their social media post. I know I reshared it, so let me just have a look here really quickly. I think that was on Facebook that I reshared it, but yes. So CUC issued a statement indicating that they would be sending a team. They did something, said, we stand with Jamaica as Hurricane Melissa makes an impact. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Jamaica, and we stand ready to support recovery efforts because together we are stronger. So CUC is on standby to deploy power line technicians and crews to assist with restoration efforts in Jamaica through the Caribbean Electric Utility Services Corporation, that's CARELEC. That's like their regional body that they're all members of. And together, we strengthen our region's ability to recover and rebuild, and we stand ready to support our neighbor and the region. So thank you so much, CUC. Can you guys go and give that post a like? I think that, we like to be negative and talk negatively about our different agencies, and when they're doing something wholly positive, a lot of times we're simply not even giving them the credit. So I wish to thank CUC for stepping up. They're actually going to send workers there to help in the recovery effort. I'm actually going to share this post in the channel, and then I'll share it to some of the community groups. But just a little thank you goes a long way. Thank you, CUC. Recently, I was reminded by someone when there was a situation late one evening. Some people called me, new ownership, and they were the tenants, and the owners hadn't properly done the transfer of electricity. So basically, the tenants were without electricity that evening. They were outside starting a fire, and they didn't have any water and all this kind of stuff. And the crazy thing is, the person called me and said, "Sandy, you're the only person I think I can call. Please help these tenants." And one was a senior lady, and you listen. You can't sleep comfortably at night without at least a little fan. So anyway, I contacted CUC, and literally within maybe half an hour at most, they had it sorted out. Despite the fact that the client hadn't done the right thing, CUC got power to that apartment units so that people could have power that night. So yeah, thank you. All right, this one's Black River Police Station, I think. Yes. So give us a minute here. I think it's kind of loading. But yeah, this is Black River Police Station. I don't know why it's kind of stopping and going. But anyway, needless to say that this was also underwater. And yeah, lots of flooding for sure. Whoa, no bueno. Sheetrock down. Oh my gosh. Hopefully they had something in place for, look at the window. Hopefully they had something in place for like their files and stuff, and that didn't get damaged. There were so many lessons that we learned on Hurricane, Ivan, even about data recovery, data storage, all these types of things. Yeah, it's pretty wild. All right. So we're hearing a death in East End this morning. I'll give you guys some details on that. Yeah. All right. So I'm just getting some additional photos and videos and stuff from Black River. So Black River, that's in St. Elizabeth. I can tell you that they took a beating. They really took a beating. That whole area there has been devastated, quite frankly, by this storm. So I think everybody got something from the storm, even people in Kingston, but some obviously got it worse than others. I was reading this morning that some 77%, I believe, of JPS customers are without electricity. And we also understand that. We took, here, I think that after Hurricane Ivan, of course, that's our point of reference. The people that have gotten it the worst would have been those who, the people who got it worse were upwards of probably 6 to 8 weeks before power was restored. And at the earliest for us, I think was around 2-3 weeks. And we only got that because we were close to, this was my business in West Bay at the time. We were close, of course, West Bay wasn't as damaged. And we were also close to that substation, to the fire station. So certain areas will get priority, right? In terms of, just relief efforts, and even prioritizing the electricity and so forth. So we have, I see you, Doc. Give me 1 second here. We're just doing some hurricane, some post-storm updates. And of course, I must tell you that mental health is at the forefront of our thoughts here this morning. So let's welcome Dr. Sarah Nicholas to the show. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing okay this morning, and my family's is safe.
You
as
checked
well.
where in Jamaica is your?
So most of my family is in Kingston, and so it didn't hit the east as badly as it hit the west.
Mm-hmm.
We were out of electricity after Ivan for 3 months in East.
Hi, good morning. You were out for 3 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Yeah, I was trying to remember. For some people, it was even longer. You're right. Oh my goodness, so crazy. It's bringing back memories. Thank you, my dear. Dr. Sarah, do me a favor. I want you to tilt your camera. I'm going to pull you out, and then I'm going to just have you. I keep forgetting to ask you to do it horizontally. You might have to come out and back in again so that your camera can adjust. But yeah, I keep forgetting to mention that. 3 months. Yeah, the outer, because boy, East End took it. East End got a lick. Yes. And again, I remember driving through. I think, is your screen locked? There's something that's locking it in place. It still has you up sideways. Yeah, maybe unlock it, because I'm not sure why it's there we go. Yes, that's better, because then on the screen yes, perfect. So yes, I was saying that I remember driving through East End at the time, and again, Bodden Town, East End, the beach was in the road. When you go through things like this, I mean, we're here, Dr. Sarah, reminiscing about Hurricane Ivan, because that's like the point of reference that we have in terms of, okay, we've been through this. We've been through a Category 5 storm that was quite devastating. What are some of the things that people should do? Obviously, they're focused on, it's hard when you have to focus on the needs, eating, sleeping, a roof over your head, but also your mental health is important. I mean, I know that here in Cayman, we had at least one suicide fairly soon after the storm. People were struggling to cope. So what do you say to people during a time like this, when you have an entire country that has been devastated by a storm that's probably going to take them years to recover from?
Well, right now people are still in the thick of it, and you're right. People are worried about food, shelter, these types of things, and that's where their minds should be, right? And usually during this part, mental health tends to be honestly better because people are just in go mode. When you're in go mode, you're not really reflecting back on things as much. So during this time, the best thing that anybody can do is to be a helping hand to your neighbor, right? Because this is the time for us all to come together, right? Whether you are in with the people you love, or whether you are reaching out to them virtually, it's being a helping hand in any way that you can be, because the most important thing right now is support, right? For anyone's mental health, both outside and inside of the country. Support is the thing that is going to help people feel the most connected. And when they feel that connection, that can go a really long way.
Yes. Someone is saying that they can't hear. Who said that to me just now? I think most people can hear. So maybe just double check your connection. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear her okay. I think Miss People are okay. So maybe just restart your feed. But yeah, I mean it is and I think because we are so focused on sort of the necessities of getting through life that we put what's really happening, the shock of it all, in the back of our heads, and it kind of hits you later on. I do remember when I first I was kind of explaining to people, for me, I left my dogs at my apartment, but at the last minute I decided that I needed some human companionship, so I went and stayed with my friend Alistair and his family, and I kind of rode out the storm with them in Savannah Newlands area. But then I was so anxious to get back home to see, what we were dealing with at home, what damage there was, et cetera, et cetera. And so I actually got on foot and tried to walk from Savannah Newlands to Newlands, which now I'm looking back on it, I'm like, that was stupid. And this is before the bypass, I think, existed. So I don't even know what I was thinking. But I did get to the main road. And then when I saw the devastation on the main road, I remember distinctly crying, because what I saw, the buildings, I wouldn't have been far from Mariners Cove. I thought to myself, oh my God, we must have such extensive loss of life. Now, thankfully for us, it wasn't as bad. The loss of life wasn't, I think we ended up only losing 2 people kind of post storm. It wasn't like directly because of the storm, but when I first saw the buildings and stuff, I thought, oh my God, it far surpassed anything that I had envisioned. What do you say to people when they're in a situation like you've never been in this situation before? You've never envisioned anything like this. You've never seen this type of destruction. There will be people in Jamaica who are looking at destruction at a level that they have never seen before. What do you say to those people? Like, how do you even?
It's hard, right? Because even as the storm was coming on, and I was on Instagram looking at different things, and you can see the Jamaican people in the comments saying, our infrastructure is built for hurricanes. We're not worried, and that's a common thing in Jamaica. That our infrastructure, everything is built with concrete. We have a very strong infrastructure because we are
not for Category 5.
But today, when I was in my family WhatsApp group, they were saying a lot of concrete buildings got pushed over, right? A lot of concrete buildings got blown over. And so when you have this mindset, we have building blocks in our mind of what makes us safe. And when those things don't hold up, it creates this level of vulnerability and this lack of safety that that scares us, that shakes us, right? When we see that kind of devastation. And so, I mean, the best thing that we can do is like rebuild the building blocks of what makes us safe, to stay as safe as possible, knowing there are no guarantees in life, right?
Right.
Sometimes life is random. And the best thing that we can do is to rebuild the sense of safety that we have. And but at the end of the day, that devastation takes time to heal, that level of devastation. Many times it's not just about the safety, it's about knowing that the place that you grew up, the place that you live, will never look and be the same again. Right?
Yep.
And that takes time to heal. There's no one thing that you can say to someone when everything that they've known is now different. Right?
Yeah.
That will take time, that will take healing, that will take the requirement of building the new normal.
Yeah.
Right? Some people will struggle to come to terms with the idea that they have to build a new normal. Some people struggle with change.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And again, like I say, the only and best thing that we can really do is come together, right? It's come together as a country, as family, in all of those ways, because it's going to take time. Time is just essential
Yeah.
for healing with this level of devastation.
Yep. And as the region comes together as well, we were saying, this morning I was sharing an article by one of our colleagues that covers the region, which is, my apologies, I hear something here that's picking up audio. Uh-oh, trying to figure out what that is. Oh. Oh, my apologies. I was trying to figure out what is that that's talking. I got so many windows open. I was open here. I was trying to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, there is the the concern right now of, okay, where are we going to get help from? I mean, I know that Cayman is already galvanizing our efforts to ensure that we do our part to help Jamaica. But it was so sad to read her article that even in terms of like traditional sources for assistance, aka the US, right now the region, Jamaica, Cuba, the Bahamas, others are going to get hit by this. Probably Turk and Caicos might also get impacted. This is going to be a regional situation. Although Jamaica might have gotten the brunt of it, it's still like going towards Cuba, I think, is a Cat 4 storm. The help or the safety net that people thought that they had, even in terms of international bodies and support, might not actually be there. And so that is certainly a concern as well. And those are the realities of what people have to sort of live with. Like, there might not be as much help coming in as you think. So it's going to be harder to pick up the pieces.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is, and I think that's going to be a reality too. That is that people will struggle to deal with, right? That they're not going to have as much of that help. Makes it even more vital that, as a community, as a regional community, folks come together and help out in the ways that we can. Jamaica and many other Caribbean islands are dependent on Western support, on U.S. support, and I don't know, right? I can't speak to what that will look like, but it even speaks to more of the necessity for us to be able to take care of ourselves more than we have in the past.
Yeah. And I am sharing a few videos on here for those of us who can watch them on social media. I know obviously our radio listeners can't, but we have some video footage that is coming in from around the island, but mostly the Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Black River area that would have been impacted the most. And as we can see, lots of structural damage, down power lines, cars all smashed up and lost as well. And it looks very familiar, very, very reminiscent. Miss Sue says that she'll never forget it, being Hurricane Ivan. Miss Julie is wondering how she wants to see how the container homes from China held up. Well, a regular home probably didn't hold up that well. So, Good morning, Miss Dorothy. Miss Sue saying that she lost all 3 cars. The sea took them. And my house and Prospect. Yeah, it was crazy. Miss Marjorie wishing her aunt Catherine Mirage a happy birthday. She's 100 years old today. So let's wish Miss Catherine, Aunt Catherine Mirage, a happy birthday. She lives here in Grand Cayman and she's 100 years old. So happy birthday, Auntie Catherine Mirage. Very good. Miss Dorothy says that is so true, Sandy. Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Lady D says that magnitude of moisture will cause a lot of mold, hoping to ensure all areas are cleaned or the proper removal is done to avoid people getting sick. Yeah, so that's another concern, of course, as we know from experience, that Mold is something that, when you have this much water damage, it is definitely something that we can expect. And so sometimes you just have to pull it all out and kind of start over. And that's what I know. That's what a lot of places did here. I remember, well, of course, we used to have Outback Steakhouse here, one of my favorite places to go. I love me an Outback Steakhouse. And after the hurricane, Outback did not rebuild because I think the local partner was the Foster's Group, and they had to rebuild entire grocery stores. They had priorities. So, the one thing that went was Outback Steakhouse. But I remember in that area, they had something like 5 or 6 feet of water like come in to like buildings and stuff. And even the Chinese restaurant, formerly, I can't remember what it's called now. It's called Silk now, but at the time it was Dragon. It was something else. But anyway, they had about 5 feet of water, and they had to rip all of that out, redo everything. Sometimes that means redoing electrical, the whole 9 yards, and putting that back up to like 5 feet. So there's a lot of moving parts. And Canton Restaurant. There we go. That quickly, I already forgot the name of it. Also one of my favorite places to go. But it's crazy the things that we have to think about in terms of our health and safety. And, even after the storm, people are going to be using generators for months. Please be safe with those as well.
For sure. And, something that I don't think we really think about is that, look at that level of devastation, especially places like St. Elizabeth and Mandeville. Like, they're very tight-knit communities, small, tight-knit communities in pockets. And many of those communities are going to be completely displaced for long periods of time, right? Like, you have your one grocery store you go to, your one liquor restaurant. You have like these little areas that you go to, and a lot of those businesses are not going to be able to be up and running, right? A lot of the homes, even if your home was fine, the businesses around you, we're not sure how those have been impacted. So a lot of communities are going to be displaced, the people that you grew up with, right? And so that's another level that can like really impact people's mental health, is when they're having to move to maybe different pockets of the country because the areas that they grew up in just aren't livable for a while. Because we don't have a lot of underground infrastructure for power lines as much, right? And so it may take a long time for power to come back in some of those places.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just telling you that. Oh yes, Canton. Thank you so much, folks. So Adele, thank you. Yes, I was rushing literally as the show was starting to put up the graphics for it. So I'm not surprised that there's a typo there. We can fix that afterwards. We can't fix it once we're live, but thanks for pointing it out. We will get that sorted out. We see some more footage again coming in from different areas around the island. So at 9 o'clock, we do have some disaster relief folks coming on who are going to be, sharing some of their findings and really telling us how we can now help Jamaica to recover. So that is the most important thing here, folks, is we are going to be hearing from them on what organized efforts the government, the Red Cross, and other NPOs are going to be involved in. So we're not going to keep you long today, Dr. Sarah. Can you tell us in your mind, what are some things that people can do? I saw somebody post this, I think it was Tish, that said, it's okay to not open your messages. It's okay to not want to see these images, because the one thing I think with living in the technological era that we are constantly bombarded with images of all sorts. I mean, I get them all the time, images of like sometimes very horrific scenery, bombarded by storm, photos, videos, everything. And sometimes I feel like it can be too much, and you've got to learn how to protect your mental space. So I feel like sometimes it's a good idea to just disengage a little bit. Like, don't open those photos, don't open those videos, but give us some tips on what people can do to safeguard their mental health during a crisis like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, many times when we're opening up and we're seeing all of these things, we're experiencing the vicarious trauma of it, but we're not able to do anything about it, right? And so I might say, if you feel like there is something that you can do, then maybe you just focus on that. If there's family that you have in Jamaica, focus on your family, focus on helping them. If you are wanting to donate to a cause, do that. If you're wanting to, any way that you can help out, and perhaps the folks we'll have on after or they're going to share different ways that you can help. Focus on that. When we come together and when we're able to help others, that can be really helpful to our mental health, especially when we're looking at all of these photos thinking, there's nothing I can do about it. It feels like something that's out of our control. It's not any one person's responsibility to take it all on. It's going to be a group effort, a community effort of everybody doing their small part. And when everybody does their small part, we begin to feel like, okay, I did something, I'm doing something, and you can feel like and regain a little bit of sense of control of our environment, of our experience. And so I think the best thing that folks can do, I agree, put down the phone. Don't necessarily consume all of this devastation effort. If it's helping you to become motivated to help, then take it to that extent. But once it gets past the point where you're just worrying unnecessarily, put it away and find small ways that you can help your community, because that's going to be the thing that helps you to feel the most control. And that's going to be the thing that helps the people of Jamaica the most.
Absolutely. And on that note, I want us to get moving. We do have a comment that came in earlier that said, good morning. Everybody's asking when Jamaica will recover a little each day, like Cayman and other islands have done in the aftermath of hurricanes. You cry, dust off whatever can be salvaged and push forward. Luckily, unlike many other islands, there are many Jamaicans who are living and working overseas globally as they're living in Jamaica who will be able to assist alongside the international community and governments. Not to mention that Jamaica holds a very special place for many globally. Patience, faith, and prayer is required at this time. So absolutely.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. So thank you so much. We've been doing a squat challenge since last week, where for every hour that we're sitting, Dr. Sarah, we get up and we kind of get moving. We're going to do some squats. I was supposed to do it at 8:30, but I'm a little bit late. Will you join us this morning in our squat challenge?
Yes, I'll join the squats. And I'm feeling better. I'll do more than I did last week.
All right. So folks, get up. And I'm telling you, people are so tuned into this because just yesterday I ran into a lady who she came across the street and she said to me, Miss Sandy, I am doing the squat challenge with you guys. And she said, thank you so much for doing this. Because honestly, I'm sitting all day at my desk, and this was a great way. She was saying that, she'd had some health problems in the past. She'd actually had heart surgery. And so she's like, this is a great way for me to get moving even at my desk. We're going to expand it and do more in the future, but squatting, because we're working on the squats, so I'm going to back up a little bit, but I got to stay close enough to the mic. So let's go ahead and get our squats in. Ms. Vernita, are you ready to do my counting for me? She's in the UK, so she's going to count for me. So, make sure your leg positions are good. You've got good balance. And then we're going to just go down. We're aiming for 50. Last week we were doing 25, so we're going to increase a little bit, but anything that you can do. So I'm going to try, I do feel it in my knee, so I should wear my knee brace when I'm doing these. So let's go ahead and get started. And I actually use my chair to gauge kind of how far I can go, because I try to almost sit and then come back up. Let me pull the chair a little bit closer. Oh, there we go. All right, so ready? Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3. And remember, if for some reason you can't do these, then Miss Vanita, you count for me because I already lost count. If for some reason you cannot do these, you can, if you're sitting in a car or whatever, do your foot calf raises, because the calf area is also very, very critical. And I'm just pumping that even when you're not able to do anything else. If you're sitting on a plane for a long time, use that. This person says you're going too slowly, Cha. Fast is not necessarily, you want to do it, with control. So how many are we at, Miss Vernita? Have I gotten to 10 or 15 yet? I don't even know. Because I'm going to hold. How many have you counted, Sarah?
I'm at 25, so you can take mine.
You're 25, so I'm probably close to that, I think. Although I believe you're going a little bit faster than me. So now I'm going to hold it for the rest. And I want you to hold it, Dr. Sarah. So go down as far as you can and just hold it for a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and holding it is hard.
Holding it is hard.
Yeah, I feel like you feel the burn more when you hold it. Okay.
I think in my mind, I thought you were gonna do that 25 more times. I think that's why I gave up mentally. I'm like, there's no way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's good. You did great. Thank you.
Thanks.
And yeah, we're gonna do more things as we go along. In fact, I've been looking at some Tai Chi videos to kind of think about how we can incorporate that. So how many did we do, Vernita? Hold on. I'm going to do a little check-in here with her. And I want to share a video this morning about the power of hope, because I think at a time like this, sometimes, give me the total, mama. She's tallying it together for me. Okay. We were exercising. So yeah, the quad muscles being so important, Dr. Sarah, to longevity, because as we get older, that's the muscle you need. And that is tied. People who have good quad strength is tied directly to how long they will live. So this is what we're doing. Slow, methodical. We don't have to run a marathon, but we will get there. So the power of hope. This is something that I came across. So I did 27 hold squats. And then what's the total? Give me the total. 47 total? Okay. All right. So I saw this and I thought that this was so riveting. So let me just share this video with you guys.
Experiment on rats teaches you more about success and how to get it than any textbook. So in 1957, this professor, he ran a dark experiment. He dropped rats into a pool to see how long they'd swim before drowning. Most gave up after just 15 minutes. But then he did something interesting. Before they drowned, he rescued them. He let them rest, gave them a break, then he put them back in the water. The next time they were dropped in, they swam for over 60 hours. Once they knew survival was possible, they refused to give up. Most people drown because they don't believe help is coming. But when you learn to swim knowing you'll figure it out, that's the difference between surviving and not even trying. Because the real difference is it's not strength that will keep you going, it's how much hope do you have.
Yes. And a time like this, maybe that's a really important message. And I want Jamaicans and Jamaica to hang on to hope, because help is on the way. We're going to get through this together. We're going to help you guys as best we can, and other people will step up to the plate and help you as well. Thank you, Dr. Sarah. You did good. Denny says, Sandy, are you trying to kill me or what? Denny, you're supposed to be doing 100. Miss Barbara did 50. Who else? Check in. Let me know how you guys did this morning. Lavana, are you doing any of these? At least do the calf raises, because those are really, really good as well. So thank you, Dr. Sarah will be back with us next week, Wednesday. We do have the hazard management team. They're just leaving another station and they're walking over to the government building. So they will be with us here shortly. And I want to do a big shout out this morning to Starlink, because one of the agencies that has assisted is, with the Jamaican government. We posted this story last night. Starlink is helping with connectivity. So this is amazing and so important. Dr. Sarah, see you next week. Have a good week and keep doing your squats.
I will.
Bye. All right, folks. Danny, I know you can do it, honey child. Cayman Kind did 25. Mr. Amelia did 25. That's amazing. Richard did 50. Congratulations. Marjorie says, on the road, we'll do mine when I get home. Awesome. Damaris did 45. Go, girl. That's good. Dawn did 50. I love this. I love this. This is so good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Who else? Who else? Check in with us. Let us know what you did. Because yeah, this is a collective effort. We're doing this together. And then we're soon going to start doing some Tai Chi moves and stuff too. So, you know, get ready, honey chia. I feel like I should, I was thinking about it this morning as I was in the shower. Am I the only person who in the shower gets these really great ideas? Hold on. I don't know what it is. Okay, as there are so many real ones. Okay. Yes, I was saying that anybody else gets really good ideas when they're shower. Like I feel like that's a time that you can just like your brain is in a slightly different wavelength and all kind of brilliant ideas come to me in the shower. I think they're brilliant ideas. So this morning I was sitting there thinking to myself, you know what? I should totally I'm trying to check the regional news channels, but they're not showing anything about the storm right now. That was TVJ. Let me check CVM. So yeah, I was thinking to myself that I should totally do, I mean, I know Carla's going to do her amazing show, but you know, Carla's already fit and she is doing next level stuff. But I was thinking, what if we did like fitness for the rest of us? You know what I mean? Like those of you who have mobility issues and stuff like that. I kind of like that vibe. And so I'm thinking about it. I don't want to take on too much personally on my own plate as a content creator, because I'm going to be responsible for a couple of shows already, including the teen show and a couple other things. So I have to be mindful of taking on too much, but I feel like I could do, because I'm going to be working out anyway, just record it. And I feel like I could do like a once weekly like segment of kind of what I'm doing, right? So I'm going to start slow, like Tai Chi movements and stuff aimed at, you know, increasing mobility, or daily squats, like little things like that. But anyway, I was thinking about it this morning in the shower. We'll see. Not 100% yet, but we'll have a think about it. Okay. So yes, all eyes still on the storm, as Cuba now, I think, is taking the brunt of it. Oh my goodness, poor Cuba. God knows they're no better position, in fact, probably worse than Jamaica. So yeah, pretty wild. Okay. Right. Let me just have a quick look here. Okay. Today. Okay. All right. Just arranging a few meetings. I got so many meetings going on. So I did 47 in total. Okay. I was aiming for 50. So not too bad. All right. So we are waiting on our guests. They'll be here momentarily. So let me just see. Miss Marjorie, did you do any? The thought is with me doing this. The thought, we don't need you to think about it. We need you to do it. Now, listen, you know, you might have decreased mobility. And what you can do is just make sure you hold on to something to steady yourself. Some people use the door jamb to hold on. And then that means that they can sometimes even go a little bit lower. AJ says, I thought it was just me. Ideas coming to me in the shower. It also happens sometimes when as soon as I get in bed. Yes, I think there's certain tasks that you do that you're in a more relaxed state. Even when I iron, which I don't really do anymore, back in the day when I used to iron, like even the things like mundane work, like ironing, your brain kind of starts to think about things. And so you get good ideas. Like those of you who swim, I can imagine like when you're swimming, you're like just swimming, your brain probably opens up to really good ideas. Lucille, she could only do 15. My left knee would not slow me down. No, that's okay. 15 is 15 more than you did. So that's good. While the millionaires may not be plentiful, if 1 million of us were to send just 10 yes, the math of compounding. I see Danny Coleman is here. I think we're waiting on Red Cross to join us as well. Hold on, let me just bring you in so I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Sandy. Yes, John Doe and I from Red Cross has just been at Radio Cayman, so she's literally running as we talk back to our office. And I believe Dr. Joe Marzuka may also be joining us, the honorary consulate from Jamaica.
Okay, beautiful. So you take a break because we know you said you were just running over.
Talking about your exercise.
I know.
Running up the stairs.
You're in the main building, right? You're in the main government building, so you didn't have too far to go from where you came in.
I can't complain, but it was a quick run.
So Miss Sue did 25 squats. I don't know if you've heard about our squat challenge that we're doing here in CMR.
I did for last week.
Yeah, we're still doing it. For every hour we're getting up and moving a little bit. So I'm so glad because I know Miss Sue recently had I think it was foot surgery, so she did her 25. That's beautiful. Jennifer did 30. Ms. Dawn did 50. Damaris did 45. Miss Amelia did 25. She did a little covering eye emoji like she can't believe it herself. Richard did 50. Barbara G. Denny, I noticed you didn't say how many you did, Denny. I'd like to know how many you were able to do.
I was just thinking how guilty I feel that I haven't actually done exercise for about 2 weeks. So I need to up
you're getting a lot doing other things. I'm sure of that, running around.
It's really good. I love that challenge. I think it's brilliant. It's so important. Again, wellness, to make sure, especially times like this, everyone's obviously anxiety is very high.
Yes.
So a good challenge like this is actually a brilliant concept. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. This person says, yes, I have very brilliant ideas and thoughts of people I need to contact for various reasons. And by the time I get out of the shower, it's all forgotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I totally feel that too. That's why you got to write it down.
Yeah, with all the chaos right now and so many moving parts and so much anxiety from last week for Cayman, and of course now with Jamaica and Cuba, I think our memories are somewhat shorter than they usually would be because of the anxiety levels being so high. So I think that's probably quite normal right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. This person says, tell your people them not to come at me about typos. I'm from the CMR disability group dealing with lots of all over pains, cognition, etc. But I don't give up so easily. Aw, that's okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. I can't write it down while I'm in the shower. I know. Do like little voice notes. I keep my phone close by and then I voice note myself. All right. That's fantastic. Denny did 50. Wow. That's fantastic, Denny. Beep bop. Good morning. Yes, I'm so glad that you guys are on the move. All right, so we're going to be talking about disaster recovery. John Doe, I think you're ready. I see you there. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to both of you ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning again, John Doe.
We make it easy on you. We don't want you to have to jog anywhere. We're going to bring you in virtually into the studio. And you look just as amazing, trust me. So, listen, of course, we are shocked at, my husband just messaged to say Dr. Marzuka is trying to call me. Okay. How did he get a hold of Marlon and not me? Hold on a second. Okay. Let me see what number he's calling. He's probably trying to figure out how to get on.
I think that's exactly, yeah.
This is Cayman for you. People don't know how to reach you, so they'll call your husband instead.
It's good initiative.
Yes, absolutely.
Sandy, I can send him a photograph of the link if that helps.
Yeah.
Or I'll send him.
Okay, I'll send this to Marlon as well, because don't know they called from the office. Okay. All right, let me just send him this link. I'm sure that's why he's calling.
Just sent that as
Okay.
well.
Yeah, so he's trying to join the show. Okay. All right. So whilst we're waiting on Dr. Marzuka to join, we can certainly talk a little bit about what really is going to be a trying number of, I wouldn't even say months. I mean, realistically, years. Danny, you were here for Ivan, yes?
Yeah, just in the immediate aftermath. I wasn't actually in Cayman for it. I was about 2 days afterwards, come back in.
All right.
I wasn't in the line of work at the time. I was in law at the time, but it was it was a very long recovery ahead.
But yeah,
saw it
I mean,
Ivan, saw it in BVI. We're seeing it again with Jamaica. Yeah.
You know what's ahead, basically.
The long journey.
John Doe, you were here during Hurricane Ivan as well?
Yes, I was.
So I think we have that perspective to put this contextually in place, because I think that if a lot of people haven't been through this, it's probably hard to even fathom what, and in my mind, this is worse than Ivan. I mean, in some respects, the infrastructure is different. They have more rivers and more areas that are susceptible to flooding because of the rivers rising and stuff like that. So their experience will still be unique and different. But our point of reference for us is, okay, we have gone through a hurricane, a massive hurricane, and survival and, getting through this, there's something on the other end. And that is why I played this video just now about the importance of hope, of knowing that you will get through this. You will, in years to come, reflect on this as an experience that you hope you only go through once in a lifetime. But, it allows you to be sympathetic towards people, to show empathy, and also to know how to help them. So as we go into this, Danny, what lessons will you be taking as someone who's been working in disaster recovery, but also someone who has seen the impact of a Category 5 storm? How can you offer assistance then to the people of Jamaica?
I think it's a really good question, Sandy. I mean, again, we saw it 20 years ago. I was in Thailand after the tsunami, and I was working there for about 8 months in recovery. It was dive recovery. But one of the things we did see was a massive load of unsolicited items coming from around the world that hadn't been asked for. So we had a real issue with piles and piles of clothes, for example, that couldn't be given out. And again, it became issues with vermin, became issues with sanitation, became issues with storage. We really do understand that everyone right now really wants to help out, but we have to make sure we're doing it in a coordinated way. Even in BVI in 2017, both John Doe and I were deployed there, and we saw, container loads of broken doors that were absolutely no assistance whatsoever. We saw a load of clothing, shoes, a lot of medication gets disposed of at this time. So again, countries send a medication that's out of date. And again, absolutely, disaster responders on the ground who are already obviously completely exhausted have to spend their time trying to dispose of them. And again, it blocks the whole supply chain to bring in the really important stuff that we need. So just last night, Jamaica, the ODPEM office, which is our partner, our equivalent over there, has released the needs list. And again, that, what do they actually need? What have they, identified as their real asks right now? And the last thing we want to do is become part of the problem. I think in the aftermath of any disaster like this, of this magnitude, the secondary disaster is just that. It's unsolicited items that actually really do create a big strain on the supply chain. Everything gets blocked at the airports. And the goods, the life-saving equipment can't get through to the people that need them. And of course, that's making them suffer more. So we have to make sure we're doing this in a very dignified way.
Yeah. We were actually talking about this, and I want, the Red Cross actually has put out something, which I saw a number of years ago, and I'm putting it back on the screen, discussed this yesterday in both shows, because I think people don't understand necessarily, like, they don't want our help, or they're trying to control it. Like, why is the Red Cross and hazard management trying to control this? And it's not about trying to control it, although yes, it is, because control in the sense that you're going to organize it in the best possible way that's going to benefit the people of Jamaica, or even Cuba and other places who need the help. So a coordinated effort is much better. Let's just go through this, John Doe, this concept of unsolicited goods being the second disaster after the storm. What really pushed the Red Cross, and I know that this has been out for a number of years, but what pushed you guys to even put this piece out there in the past when you have?
Yeah, we've seen it time and time again. Whenever there's a disaster, everybody wants to help, which is a very good thing. But of course, it's like, how do you help better? But I think what really pushed us was in 2019 when we had Hurricane Dorian, and that hit the Bahamas. And everybody, we got calls. Somebody called to say they wanted to donate bread from their bakery. Now you can just imagine that. A well-meaning gesture, but how would you send it? Nobody thinks about logistics. So we have to take people back to immediately after a disaster, there's the immediate rapid sort of assessment. And this is important. So if you go back, the roads are blocked. You've got debris on the streets. You can't move. You probably don't have electricity. You don't have water. The ports may be blocked. There's no airport, and you've got water all around. So how do we send stuff there? And this is why it's important to wait for the folks on the ground to do a rapid assessment to understand what's happening in their country. Once they've done the assessment and they know exactly what is required, they send it back to us. Then we then say, okay, this is how we can help. If we say we're going to help in a certain way, it's really going to clog up, and we've seen it time and time again. Even on Saturday, as early as Saturday, I was getting calls saying, how are we going to help Jamaica? I'm thinking, it's Saturday. People, let's just relax. It's a long game. We're going to be helping for a while. So just listen to the trusted resources. So that's why we put this out there to remind people that let's not be the second disaster. There's the psychological aspect of it as well. So there's a lot going on in Jamaica right now. Even the government needs to take a breather. They're just human beings like us. They're volunteers. People are working. So it's very important. Yeah.
I think just to add to that, John Doe, very quickly, Sandy, it's one thing about logistics. Of course, the transportation of items costs money, and hence why we have to make sure that the right items, be it, we're trying to organize a relief flight in the next couple of days, but also shipping. So you're thinking about logistics costs at the warehouse in Jamaica that has to store these items that, again, are unwanted, but also the cultural relevance. Whilst at the same time, obviously we're all regional neighbours and we obviously work very closely together, and we are very similar in a cultural way. A lot of the times in emergencies, we see completely culturally inappropriate items, be it different types of foods, different types of clothing, that actually become a real social issue as well on the ground. So there's so many implications in appropriate relief that need to be considered before, again, just clearing out our own wardrobes and kitchens to try and help. It becomes a real issue.
I just remembered now, in 2004, so after Hurricane Ivan, the Red Cross got what are those ready meals called?
MREs.
MREs. Yeah. And, we had a whole bunch and we were trying to distribute them, but Caymanian people were like, we're not eating that. We're not eating that. That's not, so whereas if you sent that to somewhere else in the world, they'll be ready to eat that. So it's all about understanding, what people eat. There's cultural sort of aspects. And so this is stuff that we need to be aware of. And Danny, of course, talked about the costs. Can you imagine if we sent like 20 containers? Where are they going to put them if there's no port? So we always have to think about those things.
There's also an issue on the whole receiving end, because of course everything that we send over, and that we'll be sending over in the next day or two from the Cayman Islands government, there's a very strict inventory list that we have to provide well in advance. So it's obviously to odd time in Jamaica, but we coordinate this relief efforts with our SEDEMA partners in the region. So the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency obviously are very much part of this whole process, to make sure that the right goods are going in, but the right documentation. So we can't just be sending everything over there without very comprehensive lists as to what it is. Also, one of the issues we have is, even things like generators. We've got to make sure there's no hazardous materials that go on those flights that, again, cause another hazard, not just another disaster in what we're talking about here, but also potential hazard, be it the flight and so forth. So many different things go into considering what's the right thing, and the right way of doing it. But we're just really encouraging the public to join us on this journey and make sure that we're coordinating together as a team Cayman. It's that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to share, as I did on yesterday's program, some of the information that is actually contained on this flyer, because I know it's a little bit difficult seeing it on screen, but there's actual pictures here of, let me just see if I can pull it in as a screenshot image, because then that way I can enlarge it. But there are actual pictures here of people who were very well-meaning, who, went to great lengths to make a donation that ended up having to be destroyed because, again, it either couldn't get released in time. And I want to just show you guys some of this. And so these are some of the real consequences. So I want people to appreciate why you're saying what it is that you're saying, because this is coming from a place of, we have been there, we have done that, we've got the experience, folks. So really, really pay attention to what it is that we're saying about these unsolicited goods being the second wave of disasters after a storm hits. So, these are serious consequences and oftentimes, not intended at all. So here is 1998 with Hurricane Mitch, which we know devastated Honduras. Thousands of people lost their lives. Victims on the ground were desperate for medical supplies, and an airplane full of medical supplies was making its way to the tarmac but could not land because the tarmac was full of clothing and other items that no one asked for. So it had to be diverted elsewhere. And that type of diversion could potentially be costing people their lives. So this is, again, why the former director of the U.S. Aid Center for International Disaster Information, Ms. Juanita Reiling, said that, and it ended up upending everyone's plans by about 48 hours, which is critical time in a disaster. So that was 48 hours, folks, that people in Hurricane Mitch in Honduras did not have the necessary medical supplies that they need. And that could have cost people their lives. An estimated 60% of unsolicited goods donated after disaster cannot be used. So imagine you put a box together and 60% of what's in that box can't be used, is of no good to anyone. It's a complete waste. And we're trying to encourage people not to be wasteful. We see an image here from the Indian Ocean tsunami back in 2004. Again, a massive, disaster that hit the world, I think with, over 100,000 people, even more dying. Was it that? I think it was that many. It was quite a number, a huge number. And we have, again, unsolicited clothing donations piled up on a beach in Indonesia, quickly went toxic because disaster workers do not have the time or resources to sort through and clean old clothing. Local officials disposed of it by pouring gasoline and setting it on fire. The remains went out to sea, which of course is another environmental disaster in terms of the ocean. But a lot of times when people get all these unsolicited things, they don't know what to do with it. So in this case, they just dumped gasoline on it and set it on fire. So
Sandy, just to say, flag that, sorry to interrupt you, but so I was there in the tsunami in Thailand in 2005, early 2005, and I saw the regular photographs or images right in my face like this.
Yeah.
We did try at one point that the volunteer center I was working with, we tried to make dolls out of the actual material because there was so much clothes, tsunami relief dolls. But of course, that project lasted for about a couple of months, and then it got shelved. But at the same time, again, as far as human dignity goes, the smell of these big locations of clothing is horrible. As far as morale goes, having to walk past these big locations every day with no warehousing in a space, it rains going on it all day, every day. The vermin is horrendous. The rats we had around these kind of location spots was really bad in Thailand after the tsunami. So again, it's really hard to re-emphasize enough as to what this feels like on the ground when you're receiving the items, or you're having either as a first responder, but more importantly, as a local who's been through a disaster, having to have this very close to your house and having to to deal with the consequences of these big locations of clothes or food or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's a very real problem.
Wow. And again, I think that, we're all well-meaning and we don't quite appreciate how this becomes such a problem. 2010, Haiti is another example. Unsolicited piles of donated food, clothing, bottled water, and personal grooming items had to be moved aside in order to make room to stage and deliver critical relief supplies. So, if they're setting up, hospital beds or other critical relief, even your well-meaning water will be of no use to anyone. So this is why they got other examples here with the cyclone in 2015. 18 containers of unsolicited donated goods sat on the wharf, accumulating $1.5 million in storage, handling, and container rental fees, and something that will never get paid. And so then they go to waste. So there's lots of reasons why you don't want to clog up the ports. You don't even want to clog up the boats, to be quite frank, because I saw there was a message going around on social media on WhatsApp where, one person was saying, Miracle Brokers is going to help us. Well, if Miracle Brokers has the capacity, government might actually need their assistance in getting some real goods that are needed to the people of Jamaica, rebuilding supplies and whatever. So folks, let the agencies who have the disaster relief expertise, they've got decades of experience between them, let them spearhead this. And I know it's not a single agency. Some people are like, well, I don't know if I want to work with the Red Cross. Let's talk about, Danny, how this is being organized and all of the NPOs that are actually going to be involved.
Okay, so under our National Emergency Operations Centre structure, we have a sort of relief arm, who are actually next door working. There's about 20 people next door working on this, but also what we call the Voluntary Agency Responders, which is chaired by the Red Cross. And they're one of our emergency support teams under the NEOC structure. Again, that's all of the charities in the Cayman Islands. So we've got Lions, Kiwanis, the Ministers Association, R3, Rotary, Red Cross, everyone are in there to work together. We saw in Ivan a lot of duplication of relief items. Say, for example, everyone wants to donate to a certain area and another area gets completely neglected. It's really important that we are centralizing this response, making sure that there's a very clear way of how do you actually either invest your money, how do you donate. But again, we'll be providing a lot of those details once we get a better feel for all the charities. We're meeting today through Red Cross with all those charities, how different methods, so who's doing what, and we'll make sure that is very well communicated to the public. Yes, of course, Red Cross is a very reputable organisation, but you may be a Rotarian, you want to donate through Rotary, or you may want to go through, the embassy and so forth. So just all that information will be coming out once we understand who's doing what, hopefully today and tomorrow, the next couple of days. But again, I think one of the biggest lessons that we've seen in the past is you often see these pop-up charities that have no background, obviously, dare I say, a lot of the times fraud, and, setting up these charities to so-called help the country. And a lot of the funds never go anywhere near the country, it goes somewhere else. So really strongly encouraging the public. Cash obviously is king in this situation. Helping through a cash donation is much better than anywhere other way because of the logistics we talked about. But make sure you're doing it with a trusted NGO that you've done some research on, and you're not just giving it to someone else's pocket to spend, on a holiday somewhere in Honolulu. It's really important to do your research.
Absolutely. And when you talk about organizations like R3, Kiwanis, they have board of directors, they have accountability, they have audited financials. I mean, all of these things are important when it comes to making sure that those agencies are doing the respective things that they should properly do. When you have not to insult politicians, but when you have these politicians and ex-politicians jumping up, claiming that they're going to be, spearheading something, slap me bald-headed for not thinking that they're the most honest people in the world anyway. So, I'm just saying that, listen, setting it all aside, pick the agencies that have the experience that will actually get the people the help in the way that they need it the most. And that is really what matters now. Have you spoken directly to any of the authorities in Jamaica at this point? What do we know about what they're facing?
Yeah, we've been liaising very closely with ODPEM, which is the disaster management agency in Jamaica. We haven't spoken to them since. We've been, obviously, a lot of correspondence was coming out beforehand, but we are on SEDEMA meetings daily. In fact, yesterday we had 2 SEDEMA meetings. Again, that's Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency meetings. And that's a coordinated effort. There's about 100 people on this call from around the region and sector specific. So you have UNICEF there, you'll have WFP, you have Red Cross, International Red Cross. There's a large number of people coordinating that. And again, how are we doing the response? So all our inventory that we will send to Jamaica over the next few days will be coordinated through SEDEMA as a hub, just to make sure, even the needs assessment might say you need 20,000 of an item, and actually they may have already been pledged 20,000 from a specific country. So you don't need to add to that. So that coordinated effort, like, let's make sure we're giving the right things with the umbrella of SEDEMA, to make sure that we're not all giving 20,000 tarpaulins, for example, and no one's giving anything else.
Yep, very, very true. John Doe, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the Red Cross globally tends to launch a monetary appeal, and we'll be doing that. And people always wonder, well, why can't I give clothes from my closet, or why can't I go to my kitchen and pick up my canned goods? But Danny and I were looking at the list from the Jamaican government, and it said they needed 100,000 mattresses. Now, let's just be clear about this: 100,000 mattresses. If we can just go to one supplier, we can supply with great quality. Imagine if all of us decided we wanted to go to our storerooms and get mattresses. First of all, the quality,
mattresses.
Yeah, exactly. The quality will not be controlled, and all that. So it's very important for people to understand that when we talk about monetary appeals, it means we want to buy in bulk. And organizations like the Red Cross already have suppliers that have been doing this for years. So it's so much easier just to get the funds, buy in bulk, and get them to where it needs to go.
I think that standardization is critical. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, very critical, because you don't want somebody on ground saying, well, I got this nice one, and then somebody's like, well, I got this horrible one. So the standardization is very important. And the other thing about Cayman, we have to realize that, because I do remember after Dorian, first of all, two things. You mentioned Haiti in 2010. And we launched an appeal called Donate with Dignity after Haiti, because people were sending the Red Cross torn clothes with holes and all that. And we were like, just because they've gone through a disaster doesn't mean they don't deserve to have the dignity clothing, So that's one thing. If you're going to donate anything, please make sure it's something that you would wear or you would. That's number one. And the money, again, make sure you know who you're giving to. And we're launching the appeal, I think about 12 noon, and we'll be able to do good work once we have those funds.
And I think, anyone in Cayman can help in different ways. Again, we don't want a load of unsolicited donations, but if you want to do a garage sale and give the donation to the Red Cross, or a cake sale, or dress down sale, or dress down office day, or potentially like a yoga class, or whatever that looks like, there's so many ways the public can help here. Donate in cash if they don't want to donate cash, obviously out of their own pocket. But again, we really want to make sure it's structured.
And let us leave it to the experts as well. Because I do remember another story was in 2019. I got a call and somebody says, I want to donate clothes. I said, well, we're doing a monetary appeal. And she was like, well, I hear there's a container by wherever. I'm like, you can donate there, but we're doing a monetary appeal. And a month later, she called me back and she says, the container is still sitting there. And I'm like, that is what I was trying to explain to you.
Yes.
And she was very upset that how come the container is still there? I'm saying, that's why if you do a monetary appeal, it'll be much easier. So
yes,
if you're listening public, please make sure you understand.
Yes. And let me say this, yesterday in Sabrina's show, I think I might have said this on the morning show. I can't even remember. The shows are starting to blur together, but I gave an example of, this former political candidate who I think it was the one for Haiti, but I can't remember, but I think it was the Haitian one where they collected a bunch of containers. This is probably the same person now I'm thinking about it that you're talking about. Anyway, everybody knows, I said it yesterday, Matthew Leslie got these containers together. Oh, we're a big philanthropist. We're going to be sending stuff to support the poor people in Haiti, containers worth of stuff. We never really heard anything more about it. 2 years later, during the election, which sounds, now that I'm doing the math, that would have been around 2017 election. All of a sudden, these containers conveniently showed up at a lot down by Cost You Less. And people were able to, who were in the constituency of Prospect where he was running, they were able to go in the container and take out stuff that was supposed to be earmarked for Haiti. Then he was using that to buy political favors. So this is what I'm saying. That's but one example. There are others where containers just stay on island. We don't know ever what happens to them. They do a quick little photo op and you think something. Listen, don't trust it. Okay, that is the best advice that I can give you. Now, we have a couple people, to be fair. Barbara G says, I've worked with the Red Cross twice after 2 disasters. Believe me, it's not easy, but they're very organized. They're the way to go if you truly want to help. There are other people, John Doe, who've been critical of the Red Cross. And they're saying, so for example, Carrie says here that it wasn't the Native Caymanians that refused that bulk crap food. She treats us like the third world country. We are not. So I don't know specifically who was refusing the food from who wasn't. But there are people who are saying, well, the Red Cross didn't handle Haiti properly because, here's one that says, Miss Brenda says the Red Cross refused to take water after the big earthquake hit Haiti, demanding money instead, resulting in them not getting what they really asked for, water. But we saw a picture on your thing here where water was sitting there, and that's not what they needed at that time. They needed beds and medical supplies and medical help. So how do you respond to those criticisms? Because I think, quite frankly, you have to, in order to let people understand how the process works.
No, absolutely. And again, I go back to the MREs that they were given to us. Mm-hmm. And I was just giving an example of how when stuff is unsolicited and we get it here and we try to use it within our country, it doesn't work. So that was just an example of how MREs will not work in Cayman. And so when you're sending stuff to a country, you have to make sure, is it culturally appropriate? For example, people are sending us blankets. We didn't need blankets during Ivan. So that's what I was referring to. And with regards to Haiti, that was a very complex situation because, just the situation of the Haiti earthquake. And it's easy for people to sit back and just watch TV, but when you're on ground, you recognize. And if ever a Red Cross organization or any other organization says, we do not need this, it means they already have it. So this is why Danny is really saying, let us wait and look at the list. If the Jamaica government says, we don't need blankets, please don't give blankets because we're not helping. And so an organization will never say they don't need. And that's what I talked about, rapid assessments. Right now, as we're on air, there are people going through the water using big trucks to find out what's going on. What do we need? And once they've done the assessments, they come back to us. So that was what I'll say, is that we do assessments globally to make sure we identify the actual needs of the population, especially those that are most vulnerable.
And the other thing I was thinking about, Ms. Brenda says, if everywhere is destroyed, where are they going to buy supplies from? People give money and never hear what happened to it afterwards. So when you say that you're going to be buying things in bulk, you're not necessarily buying it in that country, to be clear.
It could be. It just, again, this is why disasters are so interesting. You can't preempt.
Yeah.
It might be that there are stores open, and one of the rules is that you want to boost the local economy. So you check on that first. Now, if all the stores are completely destroyed, then you move on to your international suppliers who have already been on standby, and you can buy items in bulk. So it really depends on the situation. And that's why we're waiting to hear. Because I spoke to somebody in Kingston today, actually 2 people in Kingston, and they said they have electricity. I called them on WhatsApp, which means they have internet, they have water. So they seem to be fine, but we're not quite sure about downtown Kingston and the stores. So it's about really waiting for people to give us information, and then
I think
the other, yes.
Sorry, Sandy, I keep interrupting. From a government perspective, again, we'd always be liaising with ODPEM to see if the markets are open. And Sadima, update us on that on a regular basis. What is open? Is ATM open? Can people get money, out on the other side? Are we doing a cash program through the Red Cross and UNICEF, for example? They often have a framework in place of ways how to do that itself. But again, it's just making sure if the economy needs to be boosted and the markets are open, obviously it's a really good way to invest back in Jamaica and make sure that they are buying locally and invest in their economy, but also they can buy what they choose to buy. But of course, from a government perspective, chances are, because we're not 100% sure at this point, we'll be sending both in-kind donations, relief items that have been asked for in the Jamaican ODPEM needs assessment, but also probably cash as well. It's just a matter of, determining perhaps both methods. And also, again, we haven't mentioned personnel yet. It might well be that we send be it medical. I know the medical relief EST under NEOC is on standby. The utility CC are on standby. There's a number of different teams already on standby. Since speaking to you, I've just seen a mention from Sedima asking about availability and so forth. So there's a lot of these surge capacity in personnel, in-kind donations, and cash is sort of the three potential options. Often will complement each other.
And can I just mention one thing, Anthony, because I'm just thinking about it now. Even with us during Ivan, we were in our office, and all of a sudden, we just saw like 6 guys come in and say, "We're here to help." We're like, "Who are you?" And they said they're from another Red Cross, and we're like, "We didn't ask." They said, "Well, we came to help," and we're like, "But where are we gonna house you? Who's gonna feed you?" And it just was like we felt like, oh my goodness, it was a burden on us. And so we said, look, thank you very much for your concern, your care, but right now we just can't take this help. I imagine if that went out, the headlines would say, Cayman Red Cross refuses help from blah, blah, blah. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
The reality is that there was nowhere to put them. And who's going to drive them? We didn't have our cars. So people really need to understand, if aid or anything is refused, there is a reason behind it. If you imagine if we were sending all our volunteers to drive them to hotels, pick them up, take them for meals, that's taken away from the initial response. So.
Yeah. And, someone is asking a question here, which kind of goes back to even thinking about the situation in Haiti, which Haiti is a very different country, you must admit, even in terms of how their government works, the roles that non-government entities, aka gangs, play in how even distribution of regular assets reach the average person in Haiti. So Haiti is a anomaly that probably isn't the best example, even in the best of times, much less a situation with a disaster. But someone has a question here that kind of piggybacks off of that. They said, "I bet Jamaica won't refuse money. I just hope the rural communities and inner cities get the relief." So there's a question about, again, the distribution of the relief, which will be on the government there to coordinate. We can't dictate to, I'm sure, their emergency services or their government how to distribute the mattresses or whatever, right? And there's a secondary question here that says, can those two on there talk about how they will be mitigating money laundering through accepting money donations? So any response to that? Like, what do your agencies do when it comes to money laundering?
I mean, this is why the Red Cross network is so key. We have 191 national Red Cross societies globally, and we work with each other. So we would be working with the Jamaican Red Cross, and they'll be doing assessments in these rural communities, and they will be the ones doing that. Our job is to coordinate the relief, send it to them, and they will do that. Just like if it was happening in Cayman, we would have worked very closely with hazard management and figure out where the needs are required. And then it talks about mitigation money laundering with accepting donations. Well, there's 2 types of, because right now we're in the sort of the immediate relief stage. There's going to be another type of relief, and Danny and I sort of witnessed this in the BVI as well, where after like the immediate sort of month or so, and people are sort of rebuilding and rehabilitation, we look at long-term and we think, well, how do we support these people? And money can really go a long way. And when the Red Cross approached the government of BVI initially, and we had this discussion, the government was absolutely no way. Money, we're not doing money. We don't want to get involved in cash, laundering. There's all sorts of things. But over time, they recognized that it was really helpful for families. So if you think about it, eventually kids had to go back to school. People had to buy groceries. So they had a cash program, and they gave an amount of cash per vulnerable family every month. And this sustained them for a period of 6 months, working very closely with their Department of Children and Family Services. And so we never do things on our own. We collaborate. We work with the authorities, because the Red Cross is an auxiliary to the authorities. And we make sure that we do assessments with the people who are on ground.
I think that's a great point, Jonda. I mean, again, the amount of homework that goes in before these emergencies happen. So, for example, accepting donations, the Red Cross has serious scrutiny of any kind of money that goes into a donation. There's a framework already in place as to making sure it's not corrupt money. Same with all the other, Rotary, again, there's already a framework in place with all these organizations. And again, that's another plug as to why you should be spending money or sharing money, sending money to a pop-up charity has no background, has no audited reports, has no transparency or accountability. I know in government, we may well be setting something internal for the civil service, because we obviously have that giving page that we do at Christmas time. It might well be that we do something for this as well. But there will be a number of other charities that set up probably cash requests or so forth. But again, making sure that you do your homework before you send money to any of these places, any organization. Make sure that you know a bit more about it, and that it is a reputable organization. And again, that the money is going into the hands of the people who need it in Jamaica. And again, I think the question about making sure it goes to the rural part of Jamaica is so important. The amount of people on the ground in the aftermath of an emergency, working through the NEOC structure, the National Emergency Operations Center in Jamaica right now, obviously ODPEM, is a very, very well-versed community. So, for example, you'll have UNICEF, you'll have Red Cross, you'll have WFP, even the key players that we've had on the SEDEMA chats this last week. There's a large number of organizations that will probably end up deploying, or at least have people on the ground. Again, that's all coordinated through the National Disaster Management Office there with SEDEMA's help. So there's a lot of work that goes into ensuring that the goods go to the right people based on need. I think in any disaster, whilst politics will always play a role in the world, we really need to get the politics out of it and really focus on giving to those who need it most, as opposed to any other agenda. Everyone needs to work together. It's just so important. It's and even our structures here, obviously, we work together. The government and the opposition will work together during this time. We've had executive briefings every day, 5 days in a row or 4 days in a row. And again, the leader of the opposition is part of that conversation. So making sure that balance is there, that everyone's working together, and again, doing whatever we can to keep it transparent and accountable is just absolutely critical.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. I think really, I see some people kind of getting in their feelings here this morning, but that's not, y'all just, remain calm. Miss Brenda says she's not going to donate money, then don't donate money. It's as simple as that. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But, in terms of a coordinated effort, I think that, again, rely on the experts. Everybody wants to be their own expert. Everybody thinks that they know what's going on all over Jamaica right now. But because, like John Doe said, they're working with the respective agencies in Jamaica, government agencies, other NPOs. They have a really good idea of what is being done. And of course, the Red Cross, no NPO is perfect. There have been question marks around, leadership like the American Red Cross and so on, but that should not put a dark mark on the entire organization in every single country, because these organizations do work incredibly hard. And when nobody else is going to be there, we find that these are the organizations that will step up to the plate. So as we hear more about what is happening over the next couple weeks and couple days and then couple weeks in Jamaica and their efforts to rebuild, by all means, folks, help in any way that you can. We do see that the Jamaican government themselves have set up a webpage for relief efforts, supportjamaica.gov.jm donate. So they also are asking for monetary donations. So they don't want you sending goods. So I'm going to share that website here. They have set up this website. I was hoping we could speak to Mr. Marzuka about this, because it's an official government website, but we want to ensure, they've got the US dollar. Let me just pull this out so people can see the donation page. And just be careful, folks, because as we know, scammers all over the world, Jamaica will be no exception. Just like how they were back in the day when they made it mandatory to do the immigration pre-clearance before you come into Jamaica. Scammers set up a redirect link where they were redirecting you to their link and they were actually scamming you. So be very, very cautious that you are clicking on the right link. And then when you get there, you double check the URL that it says exactly what it should say, which is supportjamaica.gov.jm/donate. It doesn't say anything else, because somebody can put another little .ete or whatever in the end, and that's like a fake website, right? So be smart about it. And they have options here on how you can pledge a donation, and they have both US and Jamaican dollars. So if you feel more comfortable doing this route, this is going directly to the government. They've set up the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, and they've got bank accounts there for US international transfers, local transfers, UK, euros, even Canadian dollars. They have options there that you can donate straight to the government. So you've got options. Nobody wants your goods. When John Doe was talking about the clothing and people sending not even the best clothing, I know some people that are the opposite. Like they're sending church clothing and all the fancy stuff. Nobody needs high heels during a disaster. Let me be very clear, right? They don't need your fancy church dress. That's not going to help them. So again, cash is king, as they say. So you can certainly reach out to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management if you feel like you want to speak directly to them. But no doubt they will be inundated with requests and messages and all that stuff. So they may not be in a position to speak to you directly. We also have JN Money Transfer. So they're a big company that makes a lot of money off of people in Jamaica. So I do know that they have also stepped forward. And we're hoping to perhaps have them on the show in the next couple of days, because they've reached out with some efforts as well in terms of what they will be doing to collect funds to be able to help the people. Okay.
Sandy, I think one thing we're going to try and get a full list of everyone who's doing anything, be it reputable, be it the Jamaican government. Again, we're very close contact with them, and those details will be on our www.cameprepared/Hurricane Melissa Relief, I think it's called. So a lot of information will be coming out, and again, of course, through our partners with the Red Cross. Also on that page you just mentioned, they have missing persons accountability tools. They have what shelters are still open. So there's a lot of really good information on that site. That, if there is someone missing in your family, for example, you can log that right now, and of course donate directly to them. Yeah. Please just give wisely. If you intend to donate, do it with dignity and do it with with all these things that we talked about in mind, because it really is important that we're not adding a secondary disaster to them.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys coming on the show. And I know that you'll be joining Sabrina and her show tomorrow evening as well, to really spread the word and, get the information out there in terms of the help. So thank you, ladies. Danny Coleman from Hazard Management and John Doe Obi from the Cayman Islands Red Cross.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Sandy.
ladies.
Thank you, really appreciate
Have
it.
a good one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we do have the government of Jamaica actually having a press conference as we speak. So let's just see if we can piggyback and jump onto that really quickly. I want you guys to, obviously always be aware of what is happening there. So just give me 1 second to pull up that feed, and stay tuned to get the latest of what's happening on the ground, so that we can, just remain as vigilant and well-informed as possible. So thank you guys so very, very much. Oh, give me 1 second. Let me make sure the you can hear it. I think you guys can hear it, but I as usual can't. So let me just make one slight adjustment here, and then we can both hear it together.
the first respondents decided that they would move, and as I speak, they are presently moving, especially in the Catherine Hall area and those areas, to see what the conditions are and to take persons out who are in need of getting out. Already we know the situation with the Ministry of Health and the number of health facilities that has been badly affected. The Black River Hospital has been devastated, for want of a better word. Falmouth in Trelawney, Cornwall Regional, the Noel's Homes in Hanover, and as I said before, the Black River Hospital, Percy Jr. in Manchester, Lionel Town, and the St. Anne's Bay Hospital have all had some effects from the hurricane, and steps are being made. But you know, Jamaicans, in the middle of all of this, a baby was safely delivered under emergency conditions. So there is a Gilbert baby, a Melissa baby, and we want to commend the team who responded to that. And there, as a matter of fact, we have information that 2 other additional deliveries occurred. One mother is resting comfortably while the other remained under observation in the Savlamar Hospital. So we are a great country, and despite our challenges, we rise to the occasion. Our road infrastructure, we have not had a full rollout yet of the damage, but I know there are a lot of block roads. The municipal corporations, the National Works Agency, already the National Works Agency was active last night in clearing access to the road leading to the Palisades Road and other main roads. So by the public will see some general activities on our roadways, making the roads accessible so that persons can move about. Fallen trees. I'll be meeting in a short while with the Jamaica Fire Brigade and the Municipal Corporation and the National Solid Waste Management Authority to map a strategy as to how to approach fallen trees. I want to urge the GAPS to move, especially within the corporate area and other areas where there are fallen lines. And I said it yesterday, and I want to repeat it again this morning. We are now in the process of beginning the cleanup exercise on our main roads. There are a lot of lines that are down. So we want persons to be very cautious in doing so. We have flooded roads. The NWA team is mobilizing to clear block roads and to assess damage. As conditions improve, some of the roadways that were affected are Dalvey in St. Thomas, Hampton Green in St. Catherine, Caledonia Road in Manchester, and other roads right across the country. So we are just being specific based on the information that is coming into us. And by now, all the municipal corporations that can access their various municipalities will be out doing what is necessary. The question of search and rescue, as I spoke about that is being undertaken in a meaningful way, and all the necessary things will be done to ensure that persons who need to get out is in a position to do so. Our shelters is seeing now more than 25,000 Jamaicans. And since last night, more persons have been going into the shelters. And especially in the parishes that have been badly affected, a lot of homes have been destroyed. So persons now are going to the shelters. We are going to be looking at a long-term basis as to how we are going to deal with the numbers. I want to say to all shelter managers, parish disaster coordinators, and to the municipal corporations, no one must be turned back from the shelters. No one. And we are not contemplating in closing any shelters now. Once we have done the assessment and to see which shelters can be closed, we will do so. But for the remainder of this week, no shelters must be closed. All shelters must remain open. We are now going to be moving, working now closely and based on the direction that has been given, to start now to position ourselves, to start to have relief supplies going out to the various areas once those areas can be reached. It is not going to be an easy road, Jamaica. We have seen the extent of the damage. It is going to take a lot of time. I know that person's patience is not going to last for much longer, because when you are in need, persons want us to break the rules. While we are prepared to do everything to accommodate speedy response, we also have to be mindful of the protocols that exist and the fact that we have to be accountable, and we don't want to be accused of doing anything that is not within what the law requires us to do. I am quite sure that persons have waked up this morning wondering what their future will be like. As I said yesterday, the government is here. We are committed. We have already started to put the necessary things in place, and within the next couple of hours leading in tomorrow, you will see a lot more, and by late this afternoon into tomorrow, a more comprehensive report on the status of the country and where we are will be provided. But I can also assure you that during the day, if it needs be, we will provide information as best as possible. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Minister. And this is the end of our press conference. As we end, we know that there are a lot of Jamaicans who are hurting, who are displaced, who are concerned about their future. As Minister Mackenzie said, no, we're here. The government is here. The entire country is here. And we're going to rally behind all of those in Western Jamaica as we also pray for them and pray for this wonderful country that we all love. And so we will see you again very soon. We'll put out a notice on when we'll have our next briefing, which will give you more information once we've done the assessments across the country. Thank you. And as always, God bless Jamaica, land we love.